Pen and paper, unload your brain, get it all out in terms of all those things. And so a lot of it will be, you'll be surprised by how simple some of those things really are, much more than the demons they are when they're just banging around in your head.
Let's see what our community asked. How can I raise my creative confidence?
I'm not sure what you mean or what they would mean by a creative confidence. If you're saying, how would I raise my ability, my confidence about my creativity? Do you think that's what they mean?
Yeah, I guess.
Go do what you feel like doing. You know, and trust, you know, do you feel like painting? Do you feel like writing poetry? Do you feel like, you know, being creative with how well you're raising your kids? I mean, we're all being creative all the time. We're creating whatever we're experiencing. So it's not about being creative, it's about how do I arrange my creativity in a way that is more fulfilling to me maybe than the way it is right now, in terms of what I'm creating. Because you can create boredom, you can create depression, you can create all kinds of, you know, you can create whatever it is that you're focused on, whatever it is that you put your energy and attention to, you will be creating. So I think a lot of it's just giving yourself the space to do that, you know, in whatever way you want to do it. You know, I'm sort of famous for a 2.2 year quota on my hobbies. About 2 years, 2.5 years is, you know, I was into bonsai. I raised bonsai plants for 2 years. I was in karate about 4 years. I was a sailor with my own sailboat for about 2 years, 2.5 years. I was a...
Intentionally or just by...
No, it just so happens. I was like, wow, I was so fascinated by that. And then I get into it and then I discover what I want to discover about it. And then I kind of get, okay, that's kind of it. You know, the energy kind of dies away and then I go pick the next thing to go explore. Now that's just me. I'm sort of jack of all trades in terms of hobbies. So, I mean, I got a string this long of, you know, how many things I've actually explored and played with. And all those were very creative endeavors. It was just a way to do that. But it was nice using GTD and, you know, my own process to be able to just have the freedom to say, okay, what I feel like doing next.
You are in great company. Peter Drucker had a policy for himself just to do a hobby for 2 years and then to switch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow, I'm in great company. No, thank you. Thanks for telling me that, yeah. Yeah, no, so I'm acrylic painting right now is kind of my current hobby. I always love ikebana and Japanese pottery and plants and flower arranging. That's always been, I've always had that aesthetic, so I don't think I'll ever get rid of those. But I think, you know, if you walked into my office right now in that other room, you'll see a canvas that's just gray. And I stare at it over my computer. Okay, what's next? What do I put on that? You know, it's like, just give yourself a big white space to say, okay, freedom to draw whatever you want to draw. Well, that'll sort of, you know, prime your creativity. A lot of it has to do, I think, with giving yourself the cool tools that you might want to use in whatever arena that might spur your creativity. A whiteboard always helps, you know, just a great pen and paper in case you'd like to do that. Writing poetry or just journaling or anything. So sometimes I found it useful to just put myself in a context where it sort of invites me to have creative ideas. That's why I love Twitter from the very beginning, because I loved haiku and I loved the ability to be able to say, okay, in 140 characters, now they expanded it, which kind of diffused a lot of the spin that it had for me, because I love the challenge to say, what did I learn today and how would I put that in 140 characters or less? So I've you know, created at least 1,000 or 1,200 tweets that are kind of interesting, just because the form forced me, you know, to be creative in my own thinking about how would I say that in whatever way. So I think creating creative constraints for your own expression, you know, will certainly, at least in my mind right now, that would, you know, give you the opportunity to probably feel more confidence about your creativity.
What did you recently change your mind about?
Good question. Nothing comes to mind. Change my mind about. Well, I'm constantly thinking about, should I do this, should I do that? So I think, well, I want to do that. No, I don't feel like doing that. So I guess I'm changing my mind all the time in terms of just my spontaneous choosing about where do I put my focus right now or my attention. So, but in a larger context called what kinds of things have I changed my mind about? Nothing really. My life's in a pretty nice flow.
Many questions we got are about parenting and being productive. Is it possible? How can we do that?
Parenting is the ultimate productive event. Oh my God. I mean, what a ministry to bring kids into this world and have take on the accountability and responsibility to coach them, you know, to optimize their experience here in life. Oh my God. You know, I bow down to parents. So, wow. So if you're saying, how do I manage my responsibilities for parenting along with my other responsibilities? Well, welcome to the world. It's called everybody, you know, potentially overcommitting. You just have the stress of opportunity. You know, how many things could you be doing right now? And everybody's, in a sense, these days, you know, if you have any kind of if you're not just in survival mode, everybody's got those choices. Wow, how many things, and even just parenting. Oh my God, my kid is just 2 years old. But my neighbor's is 3 and they're taking a class where they're listening to Mozart and Bach and my God, they're going to be able to get into university much better than my 2-year-old can. Oh my God, I need to be, he or she need to be in that class. Oh my God, craziness. Just in terms of the opportunities people have and the choices they have to make about how to best do all of that kind of stuff. So those are huge projects. So you just have to assess those like you've just got those big projects in your life. To whatever degree that you've committed to, you know, manage those projects. Those are yours. So it's really, you know, the question becomes just a universal question about how do I manage multiple agreements that I don't necessarily have all the time or resources to do all of them.
And when I see I'm getting overcommitted, overwhelmed, what can I do?
Well, you need to identify what are all the commitments you've got. So, try GTD, you know, pen and paper. Unload your brain, get it all out in terms of all those things. And so a lot of it you'll be surprised by how simple some of those things really are, much more than the demons they are when they're just banging around in your head. And sometimes you'll be, you know, amazed by how many things you're actually committed to, and the word no will come a little bit easier to you. See, if you haven't kept track of all of your own commitments, you'll always overcommit. I've never seen an exception to that. So the first clue and cue is to get it out of your head. Get all that stuff out of your head. And in whatever way, shape, or form. And again, if you're not familiar with the GTD process, you know, getting things done, get the book, read the manual about this, go to a seminar, get some coaching on it. But basically, it's write it all down.
Do it, people. Now, I dump it all out. I write it down. I put it into my project list. Now I see that, I don't know, I have 70, 120 projects. How do I find out which one are the important ones?
Well, there's some simple questions to ask, and you know, there's probably a gazillion consulting models about how do you think through strategies, priorities, and so forth. You know, a very simple one is which one of those projects, if they're actually completed or that you make significant progress on, would make the biggest difference to you. Then you have to go back up and say, okay, what would make the biggest difference to me would be clarify my divorce, clarify this thing, whatever. Which one of those things, if it were finished, would free up more psychic space for you? So that's oftentimes how I just make my priority decisions, called what most has my attention right now, that if I handle it or deal with it appropriately, it would free up more space.
It's a personal criteria, not what's moving, I don't know, my business forward.
They're all personal. How do I, what are your priorities as a parent? What are your priorities as a partner in life? I mean, how many roles are you playing? And what are your priorities about any of those things? And all of those really have to come down to what most matters to you if that thing is finished or handled. And oftentimes that begs the question, or it certainly invites or challenges people to move up to these higher horizons of our commitments. Why are you on the planet? What's your vision of wild success, career-wise, lifestyle-wise, 5 years from now? What are the things you think you really need to accomplish in the next year or two? What are all the things you need to maintain at some level of standard so you've got a healthy and sustainable enterprise or personal life? And then what are all the projects you have about all that? And then what are all the action steps you have about all the moving parts? Those are the 6 horizons, that GTD identified. purpose, vision, goals, areas of accountability or responsibility, projects, and actions. And no one of those is more important than the other. It's just which one of those do you think hasn't been matured enough yet, or which one of those horizons do you need to go to and remind yourself about, or map you need to look at to make you feel more confident about which phone call you make, which errand you run, what conversations you most need to have next.